In our headlines on this Tuesday afternoon, October 10th, here in South Korea. Israel declares war on the Palestinian militant group Hamas following the latter's unprecedented attack in both size and scale this past weekend that has since led to some 1,500 losses of lives on both sides and 150 hostages by Hamas. Meanwhile, Samsung Electronics and SK Hynix are granted waivers from US chip restrictions that look to limit their business operations in neighboring China. And Harvard professor Claudia Goldin wins this year's Nobel Prize in Economics for her research into the reasons behind discrepancies in gender earnings and employment rates over the course of time. We start in Israel, where over 1,500 people have lost their lives amid violent confrontations between Israeli forces and the Palestinian militant group Hamas following its shocking onslaught this past Saturday. Our Choi Soo-young has the latest.
Since Saturday's surprise attack in Israel by the Palestinian militant group Hamas, there have been over 1,500 deaths on both sides. Meanwhile, Israeli airstrikes on the Gaza Strip, according to the Palestinian Health Ministry, have led to more than 600 deaths. Hamas have also taken about 150 people hostage and is holding them in the Gaza Strip. Among the casualties and hostages, there are also citizens of the United States and the United Kingdom, France, Germany, and Ukraine, among others. Following Hamas's attack on Saturday, the Security Cabinet of Israel has declared a total blockade of the Gaza Strip and announced a final retaliation.
Dear Israeli citizens, we started, and I emphasize we have only started to strike Hamas.
Israel has announced the mobilization of up to 300,000 reserve forces, and U.S. officials expect that Israeli forces will begin a ground operation in the Gaza Strip within 48 hours. Hamas has threatened to execute civilian hostage in retaliation for Israeli airstrikes. A Hamas spokesperson stated that they will execute one civilian hostage for each attack by Israel on civilian homes in the Gaza Strip without prior warning. UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres strongly condemned Hamas's attacks on Israel while expressing concern about Israel's total blockade of the Gaza Strip. Currently, the South Korean government is closely monitoring the situation in Israel, and some of South Korea's long-term residents and travelers in Israel, totaling around 930 people, are expected to return home on direct flights by Korean Air on Wednesday Korea time. Choi Soo-young, Arirang News.
And global oil markets are responding to the rampant violence in Israel. In fact, oil prices noted their highest daily surge since April 3rd on Monday local time. Prices of a U.S. benchmark West Texas Intermediate crude oil and global benchmark Brent crude both jumped more than 4%, with the West Texas settling at above $86 per barrel and the Brent closing at over $88 per barrel. Pundits fear the current confrontation between Israeli forces and Hamas may severely disrupt oil output from producers in the Middle East. Also, in related news, President Yoon has shared concern over the escalating violence between Israel and Hamas turning into an all-out war. Speaking at a cabinet meeting on Tuesday, President Yoon claimed the possibility of a broader conflict cannot be dismissed as Iran and the Hezbollah support Hamas, while the West supports Israel. He also touched upon the possibility of rising global oil prices weighing on the economy and accordingly called for countermeasures to hold steady the cost of living and to ensure adequate access to energy this winter. President Yoon further urged the Foreign Ministry to ensure the safety of Koreans amid the ongoing violence in the Middle East. In other news, Samsung Electronics and SK Hynix have been granted waivers from U.S. restrictions that look to limit their business operations in neighboring China. Now, this is according to the top office here, and our senior correspondent Oh Soo-young has details.
The United States has suspended restrictions indefinitely on South Korea's largest chip makers importing American semiconductor equipment to their factories in China as Seoul works to resolve its biggest bottlenecks in global trade. On Monday, Senior Presidential Secretary for Economic Affairs Choi Sang-mok said the US government designated Samsung Electronics and SK Hynix's semiconductor plants in China as verified end users. This allows the two firms to import sensitive tech items for use in their Chinese chip factories without the need to obtain a permit each time.
This decision by the US government means that the biggest trade issue for Korean chipmakers has been resolved. This has also greatly alleviated uncertainties related to their factory operations and investments in China.
Last October, the US imposed new rules to restrict advanced computing and chip production gear from entering China to curb the growth of Beijing's chip industry and its stealing of technology. Samsung and SK hynix had a one-year exemption, but Seoul has for months been pushing for an extension of that grace period, which was set to expire this month. Semiconductors last year made up almost a fifth of South Korea's exports. More than 40% of Samsung's NAND chips and half of SK hynix's DRAM chips are produced at plants in China. While noting that other trade issues may arise in the future, Yoon's economic aide said Washington's waiver came about as Presidents Yoon and Joe Biden, since their first summit in May last year, have committed to close cooperation on high-tech supply chains while strengthening their bilateral alliance. Chair also projected optimism on Korean auto giant's green car sales in the US market, saying the Korean government has been helping them secure subsidies under Washington's Inflation Reduction Act, which sets out assembly and battery requirements that largely favor American firms with domestic manufacturing. Furthermore, amid various headwinds facing the Korean economy, Chair said the Yoon government boosted foreign direct investment to unprecedented levels, recording almost $24 billion from January to September, a rise of 11.3% on year. Greenfield investment in high-tech industries like chips and batteries, he said, are likely to help strengthen supply chains and create new jobs across the domestic economy. Oseong, Arirang News.
The 21st National Assembly has launched its last parliamentary audit ahead of next April's general election. For 24 days starting on this Tuesday, 17 standing committees of the Assembly are inspecting over 790 government departments and agencies. The ruling and opposition parties are expected to clash during discussions on a series of controversial issues, including Japan's release of its Fukushima wastewater and allegations against Democratic Party chairman Lee Jae-myung. And across the border in North Korea, the regime's ruling Workers' Party marked its 78th founding anniversary on this Tuesday by touting its advances to becoming, quote, a world power. The party's official Rodong Sinmun newspaper claimed that its leader Kim Jong-un had, quote, exceptionally strengthened combat power over the past decade, and that the party would, quote, continue to win for the next thousands of millions of years. It also praised its past leaders, Kim Il-sung, who founded the party, and Kim Jong-il, who led it. The newspaper also noted the regime's recent constitutional amendment regarding the use of nuclear force, calling it yet another meaningful and important political achievement. In Afghanistan, the country is reeling in the aftermath of a tragic earthquake that has killed thousands as rescue authorities continue to work around the clock in search of survivors. Our An Sung-jin covers this calamity.
A 6.3 magnitude earthquake hit western Afghanistan with an epicenter in a rural area some 40 kilometers from the city of Herat on Saturday. The latest reports have put the death toll at almost 3,000, with thousands more injured.
I lost 4 members of my family. Every house has several dead. I don't want to live anymore. I've lost my soul. I don't know what to do or what to say.
Tens of thousands of people have been displaced as houses in villages and districts of Herat province were turned into rubble. Residents remained on alert until Monday, when periodic aftershocks continued to shake the area. The head of the World Health Organization emergency response said that women and children make up 2/3 of those admitted to hospital.
The earthquake happened in the morning where men were out of the houses. So majority of those who are injured and died are women and children, adding more pressure on women, adding more pressure on children, who are the most vulnerable groups inside Afghanistan.
A UN humanitarian coordinator on Saturday approved a $5 million emergency reserve allocation from the Afghanistan Humanitarian Fund.
We, along with our humanitarian partners, are now ramping up to the response. We've deployed assessment teams, and we are providing emergency shelter supplies, blankets, warm clothes, food.
Local officials say the death toll is likely to rise as search and rescue efforts continue. Afghanistan is frequently hit by earthquakes, as seen in June last year when the eastern part of the country was hit by a 5.9 magnitude quake, which resulted in over 1,000 deaths. An Sung-jin, Arirang News.
This year's Nobel Prize for Economics was awarded to a Harvard professor who focused her research on revealing the reasons behind the gender wage gap targeting women in the workforce. Our Ising-jae reports.
The Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences announced Monday that it has awarded Harvard professor Claudia Goldin the Nobel Memorial Prize in Economic Sciences for her work on women's employment and pay.
The Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences has decided to award Sveriges Riksbanks Prize in Economic Sciences in memory of Alfred Nobel 2023 to Professor Claudia Goldin, Harvard University, USA, for having advanced our understanding of women's labor market outcomes.
The 77-year-old lecturer in labor market history at Harvard University's work examined 200 years of data on the U.S. workforce, revealing how and why gender differences in earnings and employment rates changed over time. The Academy noted that her research has provided the first comprehensive account of women's earnings and labor market participation through the centuries, while showing the causes of change as well as the main sources of the remaining gender gap. Goldin's research showed that married women started to work less after the arrival of industrialization of the 1800s, but their employment picked up again in the 1900s as the service economy grew. She noted that while higher educational levels for women and the contraceptive pill accelerated change, the gender wage gap remained. She also concluded that while earning differences between men and women could be blamed on educational and career choices made at a young age, the current earnings gap was now largely due to the impact of having children. Goldin becomes just the third woman to receive the Nobel Economics Prize and the first to not share the honor with male colleagues. Isung-jae, Arirang News.
Back on the local front, this past weekend, those here in the capital city were treated to a spectacular show of fireworks that sought to spread a sense of solidarity. Our Yoon shares some of those scenes.
Huge crowds of people gathered beneath the autumn sky. Breathtaking fireworks filled the canvas of the night at the Han River Park in Yeouido. Around 1 million people came together for the 2023 Seoul International Fireworks Festival over the weekend, with South Korea's government pledging safety as a priority. The festival was organized by Hanwha Group, and according to company officials, this year's event was the biggest ever, with over 400 LED firework firing drones taking part, and a record number of barges, each reportedly loaded with hundreds or even thousands of fireworks positioned on the river. Officials say around 102,000 fireworks were used. The event was supposed to feature 3 teams under the theme Lights of Tomorrow. However, a technical issue meant Poland had to withdraw, leaving Korea and China to put on a show. Team Korea embroidered the autumn sky with beautiful fireworks, creating unforgettable memories for audience members from a variety of countries. Breathtaking fireworks lit up the night sky, coordinated with a wide range of music, including a creative display of letters and numbers. The Korean team performed a remarkable fireworks display that captivated onlookers, leaving them in awe. As the stunning fireworks light up the night, you can feel a shared sense of wonder and amazement washing over the crowd. The Chinese team, named Sunny, also illuminated the night sky with beautiful fireworks, conveying messages under the theme, A Dream Comes True. With Chinese music on in the background, Team Sunny provided an experience that momentarily transported you to China. The colorful fireworks in the night sky were part of a spectacular performance, creating a memorable scene.
It was really beautiful. I didn't expect it to be like this kind of grand stage with so many people. The organization, I think it's very well organized. For everyone just to move, keep moving, and everyone to be safe. So,
it's so beautiful that I wish we had more opportunities like this.
A moment that goes beyond the fireworks above. It is a moment that unites us, captivates our hearts, and reminds us of the beauty in gazing up at the wonders of the world. Yoon, Arirang News.
Busan, meanwhile, is playing host to its annual film fiesta, and there's been quite a bit of applause for its continued efforts to provide a tangible platform for Asian screen productions. Our culture correspondent Song Yoo-jin explains.
It's not just star-studded red carpets and prestigious awards that define the Busan International Film Festival. Since it began in 1996, BIF has had a clear mission: to promote Asian films to the world. This mission has gained more importance in recent years as Asian cinema, once overshadowed by Europe and Hollywood, has stepped into the limelight. Martin Derwan, founder and director of Europe's oldest Asian film festival, has witnessed this transformation firsthand.
I've been going to the Cannes Film Festival for 25 years, and these days I feel incredibly proud to see Asian films making their mark, winning awards at Cannes.
For Asian filmmakers and actors, BIF offers them a chance to showcase their creations to a global audience. Like the world-premiering movie The Scavenger of Dreams. This film shows the lives of a family of waste collectors in India and touches on bureaucracy, discrimination, and the wealth gap.
There's a section of society we, not consciously, but we just turn a blind eye. I just want, honestly to portray their life. And I always believe, for me, filmmaking is an exercise in empathy.
Another noteworthy debut, Doi Boy. Through the main character, who's a massage therapist at a gay massage parlor, the film sheds light on pressing socio-political issues in Thailand, like ethnic minorities, undocumented immigrants, and sex workers. As each Asian country has its unique cinematic color, more platforms like BIF are needed to showcase this rich diversity.
The varied original voices coming out of India, coming out of Hong Kong, coming out of Taiwan, coming out of Korea is mind-blowing. And it is a testament to the fact that there is an original lens that we have towards cinema that is being appreciated by the world. The way we've appreciated French New Wave, or German New Wave, or Iranian New Wave.
As an actors or even for the film directors, we still need more support, but I think it's getting better since we can connect to Asian filmmakers or film festival, and we have more platform to share our story.
Just like every other year, this year's BIF serves as a gateway for these stories to reach a wider audience. Song Yoo-jin, Arirang News, Busan.
Over in Australia, actions to ease emissions continue with technology that captures and stores under the sea carbon dioxide from the burning of natural gas. Our Yoon explains.
On the northernmost tip of Australia is the Darwin LNG terminal. The 13-story tall carbon capture facility has been running for 18 years. It works by spraying chemical absorbents on natural gas and separating carbon dioxide as residue. Through this process, roughly 600,000 tons of carbon dioxide is captured each year. In South Korea, until now, waste carbon dioxide has been evaporated into the air, but there is plan to decrease such carbon emissions by using an underwater carbon reservoir in partnership with Australia. This would help achieve carbon reduction targets and generate profits through emissions trading. Australia is heading a cross-border carbon capture and storage, or CCS, project that involves transporting the natural gas produced in the Barossa gas fields to the Darwin LNG plant, where the carbon dioxide is captured, and then sending the carbon dioxide to the Bayu-Undan fields in the Timor Sea. This process achieves energy development and carbon dioxide storage at the same time and saves on costs by using the pipelines that are already in place for natural gas transportation. South Korea's involvement in the project will help secure some 1.3 million tons of low-carbon LNG per year, as well as providing a location for carbon dioxide storage.
The LNG produced in the Barossa gas field will be exported to Korea to be used as the energy source for our blue hydrogen production. And the CO2 generated during the blue hydrogen production is then transported to Australia for CCS.
Such projects to further develop carbon storage are in full swing globally, as CCS collaboration across borders is becoming more active.
CCS is critical to the future of our nations. We need to use every tool available in the toolbox to combat climate change and to decarbonise our economies. That the Northern Territory Government is a big supporter of the Barossa project and the CCS projects here.
South Korea has a shortage of carbon dioxide storage locations, and these latest cross-border CCS projects seem to be the solution. Yoon, Arirang News.
Let's take a look at what's going on in the world now. The United Kingdom and Ireland are set to be announced as the official joint hosts of Euro 2028. The announcement is slated for Tuesday local time at a UEFA meeting in Switzerland. The UK and Ireland bid is now all but guaranteed after Turkey withdrew its competing submission last week after being approved to join Italy's 2032 bid instead. The move means both bids are unopposed, but still need official UEFA approval. The 2028 tournament will be played in 10 stadiums across England, Scotland, the Republic of Ireland, Northern Ireland and Wales, with the latter three hosting a major football tournament for the first time. Staying in sports, the men's marathon world record was smashed over the weekend with a new time of 2 hours 35 seconds. The record-breaking run set on Sunday at the Chicago Marathon by Kenya's Kelvin Kiptum beats the previous best by more than 30 seconds. It was set in September last year by a fellow Kenyan, Eliud Kipchoge, at the Berlin Marathon. The 23-year-old said he had not originally planned to break the world record, but felt that he could do it toward the end of the run. The new world record comes after Kiptum broke the previous best time for the London Marathon in April. The Kenyan's compatriot Benson Kipruto came second, while Belgian Bashir Abdi finished third. And finally, eyes were firmly fixed on the sky as over 500 balloons lifted off from the U.S. state of New Mexico on Saturday as the 9-day Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta kicked off. Spectators watched as a variety of balloons, including ones shaped like animals and Star Wars characters, took to the air. The Fiesta's opening also saw the start of the Gordon Bennett gas balloon race, with teams still competing to get their balloons to travel the farthest distance across the U.S. The event got its start in 1972, with only 13 balloons taking part, while last year the event drew around 830,000 spectators. Matthew Ashley, Arirang News.
Good afternoon. A chilly start has turned into a mild afternoon, and it is a fine autumn day under blue skies. Temperatures are hovering around the season norms in most parts of the country. But temperature gaps can be 10 to 15 degrees. Those in inland areas are having wider temperature gaps. You know, October is a month of change and brings ups and downs in the weather. And such conditions can weaken your immune system, so take good care of yourself so as not to come down with a cold. Afternoon highs are similar to yesterday, hovering in the low 20s, since Seoul and Chuncheon, Daejeon are topping out at 23 degrees Celsius under plenty of sunny skies in most parts of the country. Meanwhile, winds will get stronger in East Coast regions with a chance of few spotty showers in east of Gangwon-do province. Nice weather this week. Sunshine will be out most of the week. Just beware of wider temperature differences and try to take full advantage of the weather before it gets too chilly. That's Korea for you, and here's a look at the international weather conditions.
Right, that ends this edition of the Daily Report. But do stay with us for our panel session coming up right after this break.